This is your Weather Extreme video for Sunday, March the 18th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters, and at this unseemly hour of just after 6 a.m., it's still dark out there, but there's a look at the Alpha Skycam network from Birmingham, and then a lot of folks headed for the Gulf Coast or already on the Gulf Coast for spring break, and there's a look at the Mobile Skycam from the USS Alabama's battleship location, Battleship Park down there. Certainly just some low clouds this morning, a little bit of fog. On the surface map, we're dealing with surface high that is moved off into the Atlantic, but it is nosing southwestward across the southeastern U.S. and the Gulf of Mexico. In the upper atmosphere, we have a little bit of a shortwave trough moving through the Ohio River Valley, but other than that, an upper ridge is making its influence felt across the eastern half of the country. In the meantime, a very deep trough is coming down the west coast, and that will close off a low. And then what that low does is up for grabs and opinions at the moment. There's a look at the temperatures across the vast fruited plain of the United States, and as you can see, 60s at this hour, all the way up into extreme western Iowa and eastern Nebraska. That is really some warmth. As a matter of fact, places like Chicago forecasting temperatures nearly the same as central Alabama. Not quite mid-80s, but close. Across central Alabama, we're generally in the mid and upper 50s across the area, and so it is very, very mild for this time of year. Radar not showing anything of any significance, but precip-wise, we're looking at, for the HPC guys, a lot of rain, especially to our west and northwest over the next 5 days. And this particular chart is valid through Thursday evening, or Thursday late afternoon. Storm Prediction Center outlooking a slight risk in a narrow band from the Rio Grande Valley up across parts of western Oklahoma and into central Kansas and Nebraska. For day one, that's today. For Monday, slight risk edges eastward just a little bit. And then for day three, slight risk is over primarily the Gulf Coast region of Louisiana and southeastern Texas. The morning 06Z GFS model run, and the European and the GFS in pretty good agreement, but there's our high pressure and certainly good weather for most of us across the southeastern U.S. The ridge in the upper atmosphere on Monday continues to build up in response to that very deep trough over the western part of the United States coming through the Rockies, and that's what we're going to be watching primarily. That then, according to the GFS, will cut off a low, and that's fairly typical for these kinds of systems to do. Cuts off a low, looks like just to the north of the Big Bend country or just east of El Paso. In the meantime, the ridge really bumps up across the eastern U.S., very strong. Look at that, nosing way up into eastern Canada. I mean, this is unprecedented in warmth for this time of year. Now, on Wednesday, we begin to see some changes. Yes, we've still got the ridge over the eastern half of the country, but notice what the GFS is doing now, and this is different from yesterday. They're cutting off that closed low and actually removing it from the flow. It's getting lost from the major flow. Now, the European doesn't do that. And this would mean at this point that we have a surface low over the Red River Valley and showers and thunderstorms across parts of Oklahoma and Arkansas, Louisiana. But we stay more or less high and dry. And I think actually on Wednesday we'll see some clouds, but I think we stay that way. Now, Thursday, this is where the models begin to really diverge in their solutions. Here's the 500 millibar GFS, and you can see that the closed low is more or less out of the main flow. It's out of the westerlies, and it actually kind of moves north very slowly, and the ridge just is so strong it can't move eastward. The European doesn't do that. As you can see from the European's 500 millibar chart, it moves the closed low all the way over to about extreme southwestern Missouri, northeastern Oklahoma. Quite a difference in the solution. And, of course, that would mean a big difference in what goes on down below. On the GFS is suggesting the precipitation Thursday is actually to our west over Arkansas and Louisiana, whereas the European is sort of in that position, but much more aggressive with it, with the precipitation. And, of course, with the low in that position, it should be. Now, we move out to Friday, and you can see now this closed low. It's still a closed low, but it's opening up, and it's still having trouble with the ridge. So it's moved up into extreme southwestern Iowa. On the European, on the other hand, look where this is now. This is actually in a position over or just to the, in the vicinity of the boot heel of Missouri. I mean, a huge difference in the solution of these particular models in the upper atmosphere flow pattern. And, of course, after that, then, we move on for the surface pattern. And that would certainly mean for the GFS that maybe no precip gets here at all. And I don't think that's really right. The European, of course, suggests that we're going to have a fairly wet day on Friday and from Thursday into Friday, with the precip getting past us on Friday. So quite a difference in the particular models. Now, the GFS gets rid of that little short wave. But no matter which model you look at, it's by here. So Sunday looks like improving weather, and we probably getting back into, according to the GFS, a little bit of scattered shower kind of a regime. So, but right now, boy, this is real model madness with huge differences between the two. Now, let's go out into Voodoo very quickly. And the pattern, no sign of any cold, at least right now. This is the 27th. The ridge being the dominant feature according to the GFS. Of course, the European doesn't go out this far, so we can't compare. And then finally, as we head into the 1st of April, this is April 2nd, and you see that the ridge is still big over the East Coast, but there is a fairly cold trough coming across. So is the cold weather completely over? Perhaps not. We'll have to wait and see. Well, that'll do it for the Weather Xtreme video. James Spann should be back in the saddle once again tomorrow morning. In the meantime, I hope that you have a wonderful Sunday, and Godspeed.
Thank you for trusting us to be your #1 source for news
in all of Central Alabama.
In back-to-back ratings periods,
more people watched ABC 3340
than any other station in Birmingham.